Hello, I'm Gary Lyon and welcome to Access All Areas. The race for the top 8 is starting to take shape as a number of teams drop their chances for a September berth. As I welcome Matthew Lloyd and Damien Barrett, the Tigers and the Demons fans had a nervous day yesterday, but they both got through.
Yeah, nervous till, I suppose, quarter time, wasn't it, for the Tigers? And the Demons, Lordo and Gaz, just love how they've gone about it under adversity all year and have now got their own destiny in their hands to make a final series for the first time in 11 years.
The nerves didn't last long for the Tigers, let's be honest. They absolutely belted for hours. We'll talk about them. But the Demons did get the job done, Lloydie, when in years gone by, that game, the St Kilda game, they would have dropped.
They would have, and it was really impressive, obviously, what Melbourne did. I think that it was tight, Brisbane come hard, but I love also what Richmond did, Gaz. I'm just considering where they've come from, I saw them be beaten by 120 points by Sydney late last year, and the turnaround, I know they brought in Nankervis, they brought in Caddy and they brought in Dion Prestia, but it's not about those guys. Nankervis has been good, Prestia and Caddy have been okay, but it's just the ball movement yesterday, what I saw. Freo just couldn't stop it.
No, and I mean, Fremantle, another story, we'll talk about them in a moment, but what they've been able to do is take out, all this looks a bit easy here, you look at the scoreline, by this stage the damage is done, but they were behind at quarter time, Damo, and what they are able to do now is they can take out a lot of the mitigating circumstances and say, listen, our bread and butter is pressure around the ball and pressure against the opposition. That'll hold us in good stead and the rest of it will come.
Yeah, look, the fact they've lost 7 games still, to me, a slight concern. It's a few games to lose, and I know only 2 of those 7 were of that bad nature. But, yeah, they just did a number on the Dockers yesterday. I don't know what it does by way of getting them ready for a final series, but the manner in which the score came beyond that quarter-point time was very impressive.
Massive tick for the Tigers, not so for the Freo. Halfway through the year, they were in the 8, contending. They're 2 from 10 since round 9, the third 100-point loss in the last 12 weeks.
Well, you look at, say, Brisbane and the way they're finishing the season. I heard Chris Fagan on your radio program this morning, SEN, Gaz, and he said, we want the season to keep going. But look at the Gold Coast Suns and Fremantle. And it's just really poor the way they're finishing. The bottom's fallen out of them. And Ross Lyon coach sides, we're just not used to that.
No, you're not. And guys, that surge they got on, they won 6 of 7 games to get themselves into that 8th position. But look, the losses are coming heavily, aren't they? The 100-point losses that Ross Lyon did not see for the first 250 games or thereabouts of his coaching career are now common. There's been 3, as you said, in half a season of footy. And he's got 2018, 19 and 20. There is no way he's going to see that contract out if it continues what's happened in 16 and 17. Because while they've got faith in him, and he will definitely go into 2018. He couldn't dish up another year like the last 2 have been, Lord. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah. And the midfield, Gaz, is too good. The team's too good. Their forward line's very poor. They need something. Hopefully Mitch McGovern comes off for Fremantle's sake. And their defence Hamling's been great, but aside from that, they lack a bit in defence.
12 months ago, we had the similar conversation about Freo, and 12 months down the track, not much has changed with some elite players through the middle of the ground.
Have they actually gone backwards, if that's at all?
Well, it would appear they have, but bigger than that, they've got questions to ask about the whole feeling around that footy club. Is this the place where you want to turn up and work every single day? And that diminishes when you get losses like we did on the weekend, so a challenge for them.
It's good they've signed up Fife before this point, otherwise he may have had more considerations to take into the equation, I would have thought. Hey guys, Jesse Hogan came back after fracturing or really badly damaging his collarbone at Geelong a couple of weeks ago and looked as free in mind and the way he played as he has all year with 6 goals.
Yeah, he looked sharp, I guess is the best way to describe it. He was up on his toes and John O'Brien was commentating the game and obviously a great forward himself. And you know, Lordo, some days you're out there, you react quick, you react faster, you get in the right spots, all those things are working for him. And look, it was a broken collarbone 2 weeks ago. There's a real important part of this that may not get mentioned in the form of Hogan, and that's the form of Pedersen. I think Pedersen's form will help Jesse Hogan's football enormously, and what a bonus it's been for him. And I guess the question now lies, what does it mean for Jack Watts?
Yeah, probably not good for Jack Watts, I wouldn't have thought, although...
Is it as simple as that, Pedersen
I think so.
or Watts?
I just don't see, with the way Hannon and also Harms have gone, there's a spot for him. But just on Hogan, just the adversity, what he's gone through, phenomenal. It's going to be difficult for him after this. I think the first week back is always the easiest because you're fresh and you can't wait to get out there. But he'll feel like he got hit by a truck this week, so at least he's got a few weeks before the finals.
What's it mean, the race for the 8? It all comes down to round 23, of course. I'm not sure whether we're going to see much change, boys. The Essendon to beat Freo is a given, I would expect. Melbourne, Collingwood, well, that could be an upset, but then that would need West Coast to beat Adelaide by a fair margin to close that percentage gap.
I think we've got our ideal top 8. I think that Essendon will beat Fremantle after what we've seen, and Melbourne Football Club, I think they're good enough to be there. Their best is elite, and West Coast St Kilda Dogs just not good enough this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've earned that right as well. But what does it mean for the Dogs? Second team in 18 years to have played and won a premiership and not made the 8th the following year. The last one was, of course, Hawthorn, 2008-2009.
They've looked off the pace, haven't they, for some time? I think we thought they'd get it together at some stage, but they now have not got the luxury of controlling what happens. And I don't know. I mean, there's issues obviously with mental health at the club, and there's serious issues with Cloak and Boyd. Boyd came back through the VFL. There's been disciplinary issues too, Lordo. Again, nothing in isolation that's dramatic, but collectively, it's been an issue, and they've just had to remind players just to keep their head down. But more importantly, the structure of the team, it's not competitive, is it?
No, they never got themselves going. But I reckon we'll look back on this grand final side and say, how did they win a grand final? Because on talent, they're not the Hawthorn Football Club of what they were the previous 3 years. So they had ingredients, though, within that team that you just can't buy. You can't...
Spirit.
The spirit, the manic pressure, the ball movement, all these things that they just had that other teams didn't. But if they lost that by 5%, I thought they were always going to come back to the field. So I don't think they bounce back next year and suddenly become the team with hunger, because I just don't think the talent is there compared to other premiership sides.
Yeah, and I reckon all these sides who want to contend, they need a massive presence. And I'm talking tall, big, manly, physical presence. And I can't see it at the Dogs right now. They got through last year, and Tom Boyd was that towards the latter stages. Charlie Dixon is that for Port Adelaide. That's the sort of player I'm talking about. Now, Charlie's had his detractors as well, and his consistency hasn't always been great, but he's got presence, and he's got this bit of mongrel about him, and he's the wild card for me for Port Adelaide. I know they've teased a bit and haven't been able to take big scalps, but if he can have a September, like this sort of a September, then they're going to be thereabouts.
And look, the way certain matches fall, they could still finish in that double chance situation, Gaz. It's probably unlikely given Richmond's solid form throughout the year, but it's a good situation to be in. As badly as we judge them when it comes to quality of opponent they're beating, they're still going very, very nice when it comes to this ladder after round 22.
Yeah, well, you go through all the sides that contend, you must have that big physical presence. This is your wheelhouse, Damo. Let's move on to media accreditation and comments made by journalists / media types. If they get it wrong, should they lose the accreditation, as Gil McLaughlin theorised on Friday?
I actually thought it was quite a good idea. I read that. I think that there's a responsibility everywhere. Our players, coaches, officials, everyone's held incredibly accountable every day. We are also talking about people's livelihood and careers, and this allegation talk to integrity. So the thought that someone, if they actually just make something up that has such significant ramifications, I think that almost, there has to be an accountability for that. And taking accreditation away seems to me to be a fairly logical outcome of that. So I reckon it is worth looking at.
I don't think I've heard anything more laughable this year than what Gillan McLaughlin said there, Lordo. I mean, I would have thought the AFL's got enough to worry about without actually becoming a police person on all matters of media. And I mean, how do you distinguish it too? Brad Hardy is not a journalist. He's a commentator. He's a very good one. He has broken stories before, but if you're going to prove his information to be absolutely wrong, well, how can you do that? You can't possibly do it.
Why would Gil even give it some oxygen?
I have no idea. And if you want to talk about telling lies in footy, well, just go to the footy clubs themselves. And if you want to police the media, go down there as well. But no, I don't get it. No. I don't even think it was a smokescreen. I just don't think he had one of his finer moments this year.
I tend to agree. Harley Bennell, back. Played, get him out on the ground. He had 4 games at Waffle level. Came on, huge round of applause, and it's regardless of what he's been through, it is great to see him out there running around.
And he looks fit too, which is a great sign. Good to see him just for his own mental break. Even O'Meara, missed so much football. Good to see him back out there. Kicked 2 in the first quarter, Gaz. Only 6 disposals in the end, but that's fine. He hasn't played for 700 days, so let's say he's
undeniable is his talent.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether he'd get back.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally and emotionally and all from a behavioural point of view, all that situation. I take Ross Lyon at his word that he's working hard and he's back at it. It looks certainly like he is. I mean, talent-wise, that is a huge bonus if they can get into the line.
Well, it's one positive they can take out of this mess of a season, as we just discussed, provided he gets through a pre-season. Hey, Gaz, Tom Bugg really got up the noses of some opponents, and he went too far with what he did on Callum Mills, but set the Demons up in some ways. Is this the new Tom Bugg, Lord? Was it Jed Lamb here really getting in the face and mind of James Sicily on the weekend?
Well,
and it was probably crucial to what happened in the result.
Well, the defensive forward is a role that's come into the game really strong, obviously, with players players like Johannesson and Callum Mills so dominant. James Sicily, it'll be the first time in his career he's had someone pay attention to him like this, and he's a player that I reckon across the competition you can say you can get under his skin. He gave away 7 free kicks, which is unacceptable, really, for a small defender. But anyway, well done by Lamb. 47 games. He has to play that way to fight for a career, Gaz. So, yeah give him credit for that.
The whole landscape's changed. The halfbacks have become the half-forwards, basically. Now, and if they want a free wheel, the halfbacks want a free wheel and not play on a man and be the third loose, well, they've also got to cop the attention. So, good lesson for James Sicily. Hawthorn, what about it? Tick for the year or not?
Tick for mine. I think that at the start of the year I thought they've probably still got enough talent to make the 8, but after 4 or 5 weeks I soon realised that wasn't going to be the case. Some will say their talent isn't good enough, but I can see another nice trade period. I think that they can maybe throw a cat amongst the pigeons in a sense and maybe trade a player of note to try and get another elite talent young player in.
Is it a Sicily type, given he's yet to
I think
sign?
he's at that age bracket that they should try and keep him. But I just wonder, I know I throw Bruce up a little bit, but is it a player of that ilk that they move on?
Puopolo, those sorts of players. Hey, I want to say that Matthew Lloyd turned David Zaharakis this year around. There was some strong, not criticism, but advice for the way he was playing, Lloydie. But you think it might have been more John Worsfold and Zaka getting on the same page? Yeah,
I was really frustrated with him and I thought it was time he went back to VFL footy, maybe about round 6. But I've been told that David was playing as an outside winger and felt like his strength was inside. And I've never seen David as an inside player. They gave him that opportunity after him knocking on John Worsfold's door. He's become an inside midfielder where he starts on the inside and darts out of traffic. He could almost win their best and fairest. So he's put together a 14-week period, which has nearly been the best 3 players every week.
And it's credit to John Worsfold, Damo. I mean, coaches all the time would have players coming to them saying, I want this, I want this, I want that. Well, you've got to work out who's legitimate and who's not, and they've got it right there with Zaka. Unbelievable situation 6, 7, 8 years ago with Brisbane were playing North this weekend. The loser gets the first draft pick by virtue of the fact they finish on the bottom. It'll dominate conversation. It is a talking point, but nowhere near what it once was. Good thing.
Look, North has won 7 of their past 33 games, so they're coming into this game polar opposite to the way the buoyancy is around the Brisbane Lions, and I just think North's struggling to win full stop at the moment. I heard Chris Fagan talk to you today, Gaz. I think he explained it really well, and again, hypothesised. His recruiters would rather them lose the game, obviously, because it gives them first pick, but I think the record of the first pick over the picks 2, 3, 4, 5 is not significant enough for anyone to want to do anything here. So I think you're right. I think the narrative's changed on this matter.
Swans, Friday night against Adelaide. What did we learn?
What I learnt is that the Swans are the real deal and they can win it even if they finish 5th. Now, we thought it could never happen. The Bulldogs did it last year, but I just love teams that go into state, Damo, and take the crowd noise out of it early. 5 goals to 1, I think it was early. And that won them the game, really, in the end. Adelaide come back at them.
Didn't get the rub of the green,
Didn't get the rub of the green. Longmire was fuming. But then the way Buddy Franklin turned it on in that 3rd quarter when the Crows were coming, it was absolutely brilliant. We'll take a look at this, obviously, the Talia goal. And we're just saying it was just reminiscent of his goal of the year against Carl Hooker. Carbon copy of it. This one on the left against Adelaide, Damo, they look gone until he kicked this goal. So I don't think any team loses anything. The Crows don't lose anything out of it, I wouldn't have thought. But wouldn't surprise me if that's the grand final in a few weeks.
And we said they didn't get the rub of the green. They got the rub of the green on that particular kick because he ran too far, didn't he, Gaz? I don't want to be a party pooper, but he did run too far.
It's a great goal. I learned a fair bit about Adelaide, that they can absorb pressure and still come back. So I thought it was a great night for them as well. Hey, time for our lift hard-hitting moments. Excuse my coughing, that's not a hard-hitting moment. I'm first up and I'm in front by 2 at the moment. This is going to take some beating because that's Razor Ray that's gone down and grabbed his head. Not sure why he grabbed his head. Only got hit in the back, but he got up courageously. It's a good hit for an umpire, Hartlett and Razor Ray. But look, Ray's up. Give me the water bottle, I'll push on. Manly, strong effort.
Well, I'm going to go to the same game, Gaz. When you've played as many games as Bob Murphy has, you really don't like this happening in your second last game. This,
don't do that, do you?
This hit here from Ebert, but I think you might keep your 2-point lead over me.
Well, unless Lordo's got something special.
Josh Kelly played the perfect game except this moment, Gaz. No, I think, awareness, peripheral awareness. Some will say it was courage. but he just didn't run in at the right time, didn't see what was coming. But you know what? He got up and had 43 disposals, best on ground. Phenomenal performance.
It was a superb game. That wasn't his finest moment, but he is a great player. I'm giving it to you, Lordo. That was a good hit. You're only 2 behind now, mate. You're trailing. Hey, before we go, a reminder to keep an eye out this week for the wash-up. We begin our club-by-club look at all of the teams. Under the microscope first will be Brisbane, North Melbourne and the Suns. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.